So over the past couple of weeks, I've seen a lot of talk about Erik ten Hag and his build-up structure at Manchester United. And I think the reason we've seen so much focus on it is because when we signed Andre Onana, people like me were labelling it as a transformative signing, a signing which should allow United to play the ball out from the back. But we haven't seen that, and people have varying opinions on it. For example, SilverOB on Twitter, or at SilverKnows, done a whole thread on it. I really recommend that you go check it out. It's absolutely brilliant. It checks out loads of different patterns of United playing the ball out from the back, what's wrong with it, etc. So I thought, if everyone's talking about it, why not give my opinion? There will be a link in the description to that thread, by the way. Definitely go check it out and also follow him on Twitter. But I thought I would give my views on it, because I think when we look at it, we have to acknowledge the fact that some of it would be Luke Shaw and Lisandro Martinez being missing so far this season, right? These are two of the most technical players in deep areas. The second you take them out of the team, because of United's poor squad depth, United's ability to play the ball out from the back is massively restricted. And we can see that in Andre Onana's stats this season. 4.2 accurate long passes per 90 in the Premier League, which is completely fine. But if you look at the percentage, that's actually only 34% of the long passes which he's attempting, which shows two things. First of all, that he's attempting around 12 long passes per 90 in the Premier League, but also that this is a pass which is quite difficult to complete. 34% pass completion rate suggests a lot of the time that when United are going long, the ball is being overturned. So the question is this Erik ten Hag's fault? Of course, he is the manager. Is he not putting the structures in place to allow the ball to be played out from the back? Is it a player issue? What is it? Well, there is one particular pattern I want to check out. Again, if you want to check out more patterns, again, go follow that thread. Go check it out. It's really good. But what I want to focus on is this particular pattern here. When a ball goes wide to the fullback, and we then see a centre-back stepping forward, like this, which kind of drags this forward deeper, and then the ball will go back to the goalkeeper. Initially, quite a clever idea, I think, actually. It kind of moves this forward out of the way. It buys the goalkeeper more time. But then what we see 9 times out of 10 from here is that United just send the ball long, which doesn't make sense. Why would you kind of put the effort in of this fancy little structure at the back here where the fullback gets the ball, the centre-back steps past, the fullback comes backwards, goes back to the goalkeeper? It's quite intricate. To then send it long doesn't make a lot of sense to me. If you want to play the ball long, just play the ball long from the goal kick in the first place, right? Why bother with all this fancy stuff at the back just to end up booting it long? Which to me suggests that Erik ten Hag actually wants his side to play out from the back. Now the evidence suggests otherwise. All those long passes per 90 minutes, that's managerial instructions. So the evidence does suggest otherwise, and I would get why people are annoyed. But I think what we need to look at is the purpose behind this particular structure with the centre-back stepping forward. Because like I said, if you want to play long ball football, you would just play long ball football. The fact that we often see centre-back stepping into this position suggests to me that that isn't actually the football which Erik ten Hag wants to play. So the first thing you need to address is why would you move this centre-back? And what's the benefit of it? So the fullback's got the ball here. The opposition are, in this example, going to be defending in a 4-4-2 like this. Okay? So basically, there is no free player in the Manchester United half we can see here, apart from the goalkeeper. So, Luke Shaw moves forward, draws this player, Onana gets the ball. We've found our free man. Onana now has the ball. Now, what will typically happen here is that this player will come forward towards Onana, but he's cutting the passing lane to Luke Shaw. So he's pressurising Onana on the ball, making sure that he doesn't have time, but he's also making sure that Luke Shaw can't get the ball, which is why typically United then go, woo, send the ball long, right, and just boot it up the pitch. But why do we want Luke Shaw here? What is Ten Hag really thinking? I think, and again, SilverOB said it in his thread, I think the idea is to get players behind this opposition press. Because, right, let's say this ball now quickly goes into Maguire, who turns it around the corner first time to Luke Shaw. We can often find that United have a player behind the opposition's press. It happens a lot, but United never find it. Now, sometimes it'll be a centre-back like this. Sometimes it'll be a wide player. So let's say Maguire's got the ball in a wider position like this, right? And he's got the ball here. Let's say the opposition are perhaps in more of a 4-3-3. So this player here is going to come over and press Maguire. He's going to force Maguire to play this way, right? And now we can see the other forward will engage here. The winger will engage this side. Maguire's been forced this side. Now our player, quote, behind the press is Wan-Bissaka. But once again, he can't be found here because, it's quite a difficult pass to find. This player's cutting the passing lane whilst applying pressure to Maguire, the same principle which we've seen already with Onana. There's two potential solutions to this. One is to go into Amrabat, who then plays the ball around the corner to Wan-Bissaka. However, this pass could be pressurised. How about we once again use the only free man in our half, Onana? We signed one of the best ball-playing goalkeepers in the world. Why not recognise this little signal, this little cue, that now if we go back to Onana, he can play the ball out here? It really could be that simple for United. So why aren't United doing that? I think some of it will be the fact that, we're constantly seeing changes at the back. So one day we've got a left-footed left centre-back, the next we've got a Maguire there, then we've got a Lindelof there, then we've got Johnny Evans. At right centre-back, we've seen Lindelof this season, we've seen Maguire, we've seen Rafael Varane. At right-back, we've seen Wan-Bissaka, we've seen Dalot. At left-back, we've seen Shaw, Lindelof, Reguilon. Everyone's played left-back at some point this season, basically. So I think that is some of it. Players don't have the understanding of the patterns with each other because of the constantly changing team. So I think that is something which maybe we need to be a bit kinder to Ten Hag about and kind of cut him a little bit of slack. Because there's so many injuries, it's hard to get these patterns into the side. However, I'm going to blame individuals, actually, basically, is what I'm going to do here. I think these individuals need to recognise cues much more because I think they're there and I think the opportunities are there. A player like Scott McTominay, he needs to think about how he receives the ball to make these opportunities really thrive, really. Someone like Casemiro doesn't always position himself to receive the ball nicely. Lindelof is a player which is particularly criminal for not noticing a kind of a cue to execute what Ten Hag wants to do. So let's take a look at a quick example.
So before we continue into the video, a quick shout out to today's video sponsor, JerseyFifa.com, the home of all of the greatest football kits. Whether that be the new latest releases or the old classic ones like this, Jersey FIFA has something for everyone, and now you can check it out yourself using the link in the description down below. And also make sure to use code JerseyFifa for 10% off when you order.
So this is the example I want to look at here. It's against Bayern, and on this occasion, United have actually used the goalkeeper, Onana, as the extra man, which I quite like initially. What we can see is that Bayern are nice and compact, blocking the ball into central areas. Pretty logical thing to do from a defensive point of view. Onana, though, is going to play a nice simple pass to Lindelof down this side of the pitch. We haven't got Once Video Analyzer Pro today, but we will get that sorted for the next video. Anyway, this ball is going to go to the side to Victor Lindelof. Now what's going to happen here is as the ball comes, Serge Gnabry is going to apply pressure and basically force United, and Lindelof in particular, to go this way. Up in this direction. And we can see that. As Gnabry applies pressure to the ball, Lindelof is forced to play this way. And this is something that United do a lot. They kind of follow the momentum of the way they're being pressed. So the opposition kind of go on, go play the ball to your left back. And United go, oh, okay, will do, mate. Let's go to our left back. Whereas actually, the good teams in these situations, City, the opposition will go on, work the ball to your left back. City will change direction and go, no, actually, we're going to go to our right back because we know he's in a lot more space. Now, I don't want to risk here of oversimplifying football a little bit. But you can't tell me that this solution, or this problem, would not be solved by Lindelof passing back to Onana and then Onana passing to Dalot at the bottom of the screen here. That would surely solve this problem. And this is where I criticise individuals. Onana partly, he hasn't opened up his body to actually give the signal to Lindelof that I'm ready to receive the ball. So Onana is initially to blame here. But also, Victor Lindelof doesn't recognise the cue of if I now pass the ball back to Onana, Dalot's in a lot of room. So it's actually individual mistakes. This is why I don't actually blame Ten Hag for this. And this is why, when people are talking about Ten Hag out and things like that, I think a lot of the problems are actually still on the players rather than Ten Hag. Now, yes, he is the coach. He needs to get them to recognise these things. But also, if a player can't recognise this situation, I'm worried about them. Because, realistically, when Lindelof receives the ball here, particularly in this situation, he can see that the only Bayern player down the side of the pitch is Gnabry. So he should recognise, as Gnabry presses me, there is no one else on this side of the pitch, meaning that my fullback will become free. But he just never acknowledges it. So instead, United work the ball left, this way, right into the Bayern press, and it's going to eventually go to Lisandro Martinez. What is he meant to do with this ball here? This is where individuals have not recognised certain cues which the manager has put in place. Due to the structures which Erik Ten Hag puts in place, United have got themselves into a position here where the ball can be worked back to Onana, out to Dalot, the press is beaten. Now, what happens when you beat a press? Let's just quickly change the screen. When you beat a press, using that particular pattern, right? So, let's say the wide centre-back's got the ball here. This player comes forward. You go backwards and then out to Wan-Bissaka. Suddenly you have a lot of room to exploit. because it asks questions of the opposition, particularly in a world where a lot of teams go man for man in their press. I say it all the time, if you can beat a man or find a spare man, it draws someone out of position. So for example, this left back might have to come out. This opens up room for Facundo Pellistri, which means a straight ball up the line perhaps, or into Bruno, then Facundo Pellistri. You work room much easier. The other option is that the fullback sits off and marks the winger, but then Wan-Bissaka can carry the ball forward. And United can suddenly go from a position where they were under pressure at the back here, with nowhere really to go. They find a spare man with the goalkeeper, who in turn finds the next spare man, and suddenly we've got almost a artificial transition because United have had the ball, but actually can now get into a counter-attacking position. But instead, because the players don't recognise the cues, instead we've gone this way, played right into pressure. We can see that there isn't a single free player on this side of the pitch. The opposition is going to be intense, and United can't play the ball out from the back. This is why I think recent criticism of Erik ten Hag's structure is a little bit harsh. Does he have structural issues elsewhere on the pitch? Yes. If you want to see more of them, again, go check out this tweet from Silver OB and the whole thread. It's really good. It covers a few things about the wide structure, wide progression, things like that. Definitely check it out. But it's why, just focusing on what we've looked at on the channel today, why I think it's harsh to overly criticise Erik ten Hag. Because when players just don't recognise these cues, it's difficult to help them. I think Alessandro Martinez and Luke Shaw are much better at recognising these situations. So I do think that we will see an improvement. I think if we are to criticise Ten Hag, perhaps what I would criticise is that he's overly reliant on a couple of individuals, and when they're not in the team, the whole structure collapses. When your team is like that, you criticise the squad depth, but also perhaps the manager being over-reliant. So that's definitely something he can work on. But actually, the build-up structure, I think at times is pretty good, and I don't hate it. So that's why today I've kind of defended Erik ten Hag a little bit. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Who is at fault here? Is it the players who simply don't recognise cues and they aren't intelligent enough to notice certain patterns opening up? Is it them? Is it, for example, Shaw and Alessandro Martinez because they've been injured, so we haven't been able to implement those patterns? Has it been Onana, who isn't taking his time enough on the ball? Is he going too direct? Is he to blame? Or is it Erik ten Hag not coaching the patterns into the players? Or is it actually every single thing we just spoke about? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Also, let me know if you've enjoyed the video. If you have, leave a like, subscribe, get notifications on, all of that good stuff, because we are finished for today. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.